Denny Hamlin won his third Daytona, and he joins us on the program. Denny, congratulations. Take me through the last two laps of yesterday.
Yeah, just for me is kind of crazy, but we were, obviously leading, coming with two to go, and then I'm trying my best to stay in front of those guys, but I knew that I had 7 Fords I think lined up behind us, and we were the only Toyota at that point, and I knew that they were to be coming with a run. So off of turn 2, he told me that the guys were both Ryans were 2 lengths back, and I knew at that point I was probably too far ahead. So I kind of relinquished the spot. I didn't want to try to throw a block and end up getting us crashed on the backstretch. So those guys got beside me and they got past me, and I linked up on the back bumper of Blaney, and I knew my best shot was to kind of push him towards the lead and just kind of see what happens. And when those guys came off turn 4 and went towards the yellow line, I knew that there was going to be contact, so I tried to stay as far right as I could away from them. But I saw Ryan Newman's car turn right in front of me, and as soon as that happened, I saw Blaney's car, and I went down and side drafted him and got that lunge right at the start-finish line, just enough to win it all again.
Felt like you had to go to third to get back to first.
Yeah, I mean, I thought that, I had an opportunity to stay next to Ryan down the backstretch, but Blaney, but I knew that if we were going to be side by side, then the race was over for me. So my best option really was to kind of push him back towards the lead, and then hopefully either they get together or I can go 3 wide at the start-finish line. So I knew my best opportunity was to check up into turn 3, get to Blaney's back bumper, and push him towards Newman.
When did you realize you had won?
Yeah, right when I crossed the line. I mean, I'd been in a photo finish there in 2016, which was the closest finish in history, and I think this one was now the second. So I'd been in that position before, and I knew that I was just far enough ahead to beat them. But it's crazy because it's just 100 or 200 yards before the start finish line, we were about third place, and we just somehow made it up there and won the race. And it was very unexpected, especially after that, going down the backstretch in the final lap. When I go back to third, I just thought that the race was over, but we just kept digging.
When did you realize something was serious nature with Ryan Newman?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know anything until I got in victory lane. Not until when they called off the interview at the start-finish line, I knew that something was up at that point. So I drove into victory lane, and they said, there was a serious injury with Ryan. I hadn't seen it yet, so I saw the camera person there, and they had the monitor, and they were replaying it, and I watched it back then. I was like, wow, this is definitely serious. And so it was, a bit of a quiet victory lane, I guess you could say. There wasn't, because there was a lot of speculation, a lot of, not questions that people didn't know. And but luckily we got some better news later on that evening.
But I thought that your owner, Joe Gibbs, and you both handled it. I mean, you guys knew that there was something serious. Even when you got out of the car, you're basically saying, hey, you know what? We won. I'm happy, but I don't know what just happened to this driver. And even with, Joe Gibbs saying basically the same thing, like it was a muted celebration by your team.
Yeah, I mean, it has to be, right. I mean, you think about, someone's well-being or someone's health is obviously way more important than, any sporting event you could win. We're out there for entertainment purposes, right? I mean, Ryan's got two daughters, and I've got 2 daughters myself, and so you definitely can relate, and you definitely think about them and their family during that time. And just from my perspective, I mean, we still haven't celebrated. It's still, this is going to take time to kind of think about and reflect on in the next few weeks.
I don't think people understand the magnitude of that track, though, Denny, because the feeling I got reading some social media is, how are you celebrating with a wreck? you're probably a mile and a half away from where Ryan Newman's car is, I guess. Give people a perspective of where Victory Lane is with where Ryan's car was.
Yeah, and even the start-finish line, they were off towards kind of between the start-finish line and turn one. And, I'll be honest with you, there's wrecks at the end of these races nearly every single time. So this is definitely not out of the ordinary. But simply when we went to the start-finish line and the TV personality came up and said that no interview here, I thought something was up. And then when we went to Victory Lane and NASCAR official came and talked to me real quick, that's when I knew that, like, hey, actually told the guys, like, stop, don't throw any more Gatorade, that he's seriously hurt. And everyone at that point just kind of settled down. So, it's so far away. And like I said, this track is 2.5 miles in length. So, you can be what you would think is close proximity, and you're a mile away.
If I would have told you 10 years ago you'd have 3 Daytona 500s, what would you have said?
When am I going to start winning? It's crazy. I mean, to have the run we've been on in the last 5 years, to win 3 of them has been incredible. And we've just, I've definitely feel like I've gotten better at those types of races. They are different than what we run on a weekly basis, but we've just kind of got a knack for it, and the results have showed all the work that we've put into it. So I've won them several different ways. Like I said, part of the 2 closest finishes in history, but I tell you, it's an amazing run that we're on right now.
You know what's strange, though, when I'm watching this in real time and I see the crack, we're so used to you guys just getting out of a car. Like, remember what Clint Boyer, with what happened to him, and then car's on fire. He puts gets out, takes his gloves off and a couple of years ago and just throws them in the car. Like, we're just so used to you guys being indestructible with these cars, with the tracks, with the walls here. And I think that was what was shocking. You just kept going, wait, he's not getting out. He's got to get out. And then the serious nature really set in. Yeah,
absolutely. And I mean, it's something that sometimes we do take for granted because the cars and all the equipment that we wear has the innovations and the safety advancements have come so far. But when you forget that, I mean, we are going 200 miles an hour, and anytime a car can turn up on its roof like that, that's an opportunity for another car to drive right into it. That's kind of what happened. So it was definitely a worst-case scenario. That's probably the weakest part of the car. The most exposed is right there through the roof or through the driver's side window net. But luckily we got like I say, that much better and encouraging news that we think is going to be okay.
Well, congrats, Denny. I know that'll get lost in it, and obviously Ryan's health is paramount here, but I thought you and Coach Gibbs and your team handled it extremely well.
Well, appreciate it, man.
Thank you, Denny.
Yep, thanks, Dan.
For more Dan Patrick Show, tune into Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV, stream for free on BR Live, or download the Dan Patrick Show app.